Hey there, good morning. We are back again for our monthly update on the city, and I'm here with Mayor Flynn. How you doing?
Great.
Boy,
it's great to see you.
You've been busy this month, haven't you?
Yeah, things have gotten really busy at the city lately.
I saw you last night at one of the city meetings about the new bond issue, et cetera. So
yeah.
Want to start talking about that a little bit?
Sure. We have a new election for an extension of our sales tax bond, and it's Tuesday, November 18, 2025. And it'll be at the election will be at the usual places in Bella Vista. Mm-hmm. They have early voting November 12 to 14 and Monday the 17th, but it's only down at the county seat at the admin building in Bentonville. Yeah. And I also have some information about how to vote absentee ballot if people want to do that. So now the actual election, it's not a tax increase, it's just continuing our 1% sales tax. So it's for a number of different things. It's for $34 million, which sounds like a lot, but it actually gets paid off. The financial experts tell us if our sales tax doesn't increase at all, it gets paid off in 10 years. And our city sales tax receipts have been increasing pretty significantly. So I think it'll definitely get paid off more quickly than that.
It's a 20-year bond, but you're thinking it'll be cut in half to be paid off. Okay.
Yeah. And what it does is it has a number of different things. It pays off the existing bond. And there's 6 things, and voters vote yes or no on each one. But I'm advocating that people show up and vote yes for all 6.
Of course you are.
Just to be clear. So one of the things it would do is pay off the existing bond. Second thing it would do, and that's about $6 million, it would pay off our revenue bond, which is about $5 million. And that's more like bill consolidation, so that after this, if this election's successful, we'll have just one debt, just that one debt and nothing else. And the third thing it would do is at Fire Station number 1 there, we now have the new City Hall offices and the fire administration offices. And more importantly, we have new living quarters for the fire department because they needed those very badly. And so what this bond would do is there's some things we need to finish there. Where City Hall vacated, we want to fix those offices up to be for permitting and planning and development, which are actually bigger than City Hall number of employees. And they've been very busy in that area because there's so much new home construction. Last year we had 636 new homes, and this year we're running 210 above that.
Already.
So it looks like we'll be in the 800-some range or so. So all those folks are very busy, and we want to fix that area up for them. And then the 3 existing fire bays, we're going to fix those up. They're, they go back to 1969 or so they need some refurbishing, new electrical and things like new doors. And then there's going to be 2 new fire bays that will be taller and longer. Plus, the fire trucks can pull around back and pull straight in instead of having to back in. That's kind of the modern way.
Well, it's easier. Yeah. My goodness, I can't even imagine backing one of those things.
Yeah, one of those big ladder trucks. So, with the 2 new bays, there's going to be a mezzanine that has a place for the firemen to work out, men and women. Weightlifting, that kind of thing. And there's also a place to store extra supplies. And that would be for all the fire stations. We have 4 different fire stations plus fire training tower, and they all run ambulances. And so you go through a lot of supplies. We have about 5,000 calls a year, ambulance calls. And so that's all very necessary. That particular project is supposed to be $8 million or less. And then the other things on the bond, there's $6 million for a new fire station number 5 and for a new pumper truck. I asked the fire chief, why do you need a new pumper truck? And he said, well, this one's from 2001. We got it from the POA.
Whoa.
So I thought, well, yeah, I guess you do. and a couple of ambulance remounts, which is a way of taking an ambulance and making it like new. So all those things are $6 million. And let's see, there's a couple more things. The police department has 3 new radio communication towers and 2 years worth of police cars. We run the police cars to 110,000, 120,000 in that range. So we're constantly replacing some every year. And the radio towers, right now our communication equipment is on 3 water towers at the POA. Well, and that goes back to when there was no city. That's
right.
how far it goes back. And the water towers are, large oval shaped. And sometimes, depending where the recipient is, the signal's going right through the water tower. So it's not a very good signal when that happens.
It's time to upgrade.
Yeah. So we thought if we had our own radio towers at the same locations, then they would, we'd be set for the next 30 years and have a good facility that way. And that's pretty crucial because it does the police communication, through dispatch and fire, and also the streets department when there's snow and whatnot.
Sure.
So it's quite a crucial part of the city. And also with the police, I think I mentioned the police cars is the other item. Then the last thing is the street department. It'd be for 2 years of street paving and also several pieces of equipment that they needed, a new roller and a couple of pieces of equipment they were replacing, and a couple they're actually adding additional things. They've been quite busy. We have 550 miles of roads, and interestingly, there's 2,700 different streets in Bella Vista, so we have quite a few streets.
My goodness.
So they keep pretty busy.
Yes, they do.
So the idea of this whole bond is that our taxes would remain the same, so it's not a tax increase, and yet we'd be able to fund some of these necessary things for the government. And we've been really fortunate. Northwest Arkansas is growing, and we're growing, so our financial situation actually is pretty good. But for these large capital expenditures, it's helpful to have a bond. Our credit rating actually went up. It was AA- when we got our bond in 2020. And then last year they raised it up to AA, which is nice. It gives you a little better interest rate when you do that.
Yes.
So that's what's happening there. And there's mostly consciousness raising that I just want people to know about the election because, it's 2025 is an uneven year, and there's not many things on the ballot. In fact, we might be the only thing.
Are we the only thing on the ballot?
It may be.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure people know about it and will come out and vote and hopefully vote yes.
So let's recap a little bit, make sure I understand so other people can understand. 6 things to vote on.
Yeah.
The top one is critical.
Yeah, you have to vote yes on the very first one.
Otherwise, nothing else matters.
Yeah, because you're talking about getting a new mortgage or a new bond and paying off the old bond. It's kind of like if you got a new mortgage on your home and you decide, I'm going to refinance, get a new mortgage. We have to pay for the old one, the bank says. You know, so we have the same thing as a city.
That's right. All right, I'm going to ask you that question I ask you every time, and you look at me like, why do you ask that question?
Yeah.
So let's just let people know that, let's just say it doesn't pass. I feel like it will because I think the citizens of Bella Vista understand how important it is to be as current as possible with the city.
Yeah.
Within the funds that we have. So what happens, though, if it gets voted down?
Yeah, well, that is a good question. Well, one thing we could do is go back and try again in other elections to try to get it passed. But in the short term, it'd just be a matter of not being able to do some things. We definitely wouldn't do fire station number 5. And as far as the part we're fixing up, we may have to just do part of that and not all of it. And just kind of tighten our belts and not really be able to do all the things we might need to do. You know, a couple things I should mention. When our financial advisors, when they first came to us, and they said, well, this is the amount of money you could borrow. You'd be able to get approval for it, and it's way greater than this number. So it's kind of like somebody says, oh, you could get to $800,000 mortgage, your credit's that good. Well, you can run out and buy $1 million house and be strapped, you
Yes.
know, and just barely get by, or you can buy something a little lesser and be more comfortable. So this is really doing something a little lesser. And, you know, these things are all necessary, really. In fact, I asked the police and fire and streets what they needed, and we added it all up. It was $45 million. I said, oh, heck no. That's too much money.
Yeah.
And
Go
so
around,
we had to knock
sharpen your pencils.
Yeah, we had to knock some things out to get down to 34. I wanted it to be a comfortable number. And, you know, the financial folks seem confident that we can handle it quite easily and pay it off pretty readily. So I feel pretty good about that.
One other question before we move on. All this money that you get has to be used for its purpose that you applied for.
Yeah, the way they do this, which I think is really good for citizens, is all the money goes straight to a trustee in Little Rock, and we never see it.
You don't get to sign those checks.
So I couldn't run out and buy a new car or do something different.
Yeah.
So they actually take all the money in, and they pay all the bills, and it has to be things that are on this listing. And for instance, most of these things we put a dollar amount not to exceed, and it's maybe a little high, because that's how they advise you to do it. So say it's $8 million for the building we're working on, and it comes at $6 million. You can't take that $2 million and spend it somewhere else. The bond would just be that much smaller. You just pay off the bond with the difference.
Yeah.
So not only do you not everything is actually earmarked. So that's great, I think, for the citizens, because you can look at this list and say, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen with this money. And one of the good things that happened, the first part of the building we did was the fire station living quarters and city offices and the fire chief's offices above it. And it was just supposed to be a guaranteed maximum price of $6.3 million. And we actually came in $580,000 below that.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I was really pleased about that.
Yes.
But you literally, when you do the contracts that way, it can't go above that number, which is kind of a good way to do it, because it can, you know, everybody knows construction can kind of get out of hand. And
that's right.
And so that way you kind of put a lid on it.
So that extra amount just went back toward paying off the bond.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's right.
Okay, so as usual, seems like we always get we're right after the work session and right before the city council meeting, which is next Monday, the 22nd, correct?
That's right.
But last night, Monday night, there was a work ssion. So can you just kind of, we're going to take a break here in a minute, but we can get started on these. What's something that will be voted on Monday night?
We really had a lot last week. First thing is the new zoning ordinance and map, Chapter 109. And, you know, we've been working on that for a couple of years. We had the outside consultants, and then, as you know, went through the Planning Commission. And so it's really an important item for us. Something needs to be completed. And I could tell, you know, you can kind of tell in the work session how things are going. I could tell it was going to go through this Monday. But there's a number of different amendments that have to be looked at. And I could talk about these now or wait till after the break, whatever
We'll just go ahead and take a break, just maybe a minute or so earlier, so we don't break up the conversation. But
okay.
Yeah, it's super important. We've been working on that now for a long time, like you said, and this is the third and final reading, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hello, I'm Dave Todd, president of Todd Films. We work alongside Bella Vista Community Television to produce some of the content you see aired here. Have you thought about reaching your customers through a television ad? We have several options for you to consider. They range from coming to our studio here, or going to your place of business, or on location. Once you have your commercial, Bella Vista Community Television has several options for you to consider for airing your commercial. Do you have a live event that you would like to capture on video? We also offer live production packages that may be of interest. Please continue to tune in to Bella Vista Community Television. We hope you are enjoying this program. And now back to the show.
Hey, welcome back. We were just before the break, we were beginning to talk about some things that were discussed at the work session that are going to come up for a vote next Monday.
Right.
So let's get back to where we were. That new zoning ordinance and map, that is such a good deal. People have worked so hard.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is actually streamlining all of our ordinances and resolutions and making it more applicable to Bella Vista.
Yeah, that's right. Making it more logical and also more applicable to Bella Vista is a good way to put it. So the different amendments we were going over, one was small cell permitting, and that has to do with, there's towers now that are quite a bit smaller, I think maybe 20 feet or less, and they'll put them near streets and whatnot. And the state passed laws that you can only regulate them so much, but we want to be able to regulate them a little as far as placement and making sure it's safe for traffic and that type of thing. Second one is, as you know, they put in the Planning Commission put in some extra tree preservation, which is my experience. People really like that, meaning we're talking about builders cutting down trees when they're building houses. And this was to preserve a few more trees when there's septic than the old rule was. And one of the councilmen wanted to remove that, so that's going to be up for a vote, whether that gets removed or not. Then there was front yard restrictions on electrical panels. You know, these modern houses have electrical panels that are, some people think they don't look so spectacular. I guess they're practical. Anyway, this is a rule that they can't be in the front yard, basically. And we met with the Carroll Electric folks, and they were okay with this, that we'd make this type of rule. Next one is sewer installation design requirements, and there was a little debate. This is village wastewater and what they do on design. It's just referring to it in our law. There's a little debate about that, how to word that and whatnot.
But actually, that's a private organization. The city doesn't control that.
Yeah, that's a very good point, yeah. And the last one is, the proposed zoning map. They just had a few little glitches on that, and it was kind of a cleanup thing with typos, or a couple of things were inadvertently done wrong. So that's all Chapter 109, the new zoning ordinance and map, which people have worked on and debated quite a lot. And there's also the new subdivision ordinance, they call it Chapter 107, which also has been worked on for 2 years. And that seems to be a little less desire to make changes here and there.
Right.
So I think that's ready to be approved.
Good.
Yeah. And we had a bunch of other different things. You know, there's a new ordinance about parades and events. Well, it's not a new ordinance, actually. We had existing rules. And we just noticed over time that the rules didn't dovetail exactly with what happens. It was called just a parade ordinance. And really, we usually have one parade, the 4th of July parade. And we have a lot of different events, most of which are on the trails. And these are just the rules of how you sign up for if you want to do something on city property.
Gotcha.
And the city property mainly is the streets and the trails, because we don't have parkland the way most cities do. You know, that's all under the auspices of the POA. So they have their own rules about how to do that. So this was more or less cleaning up that ordinance and making it more consistent with what's actually happening, you know, what in modern life. Because there are a number of events on the trails, and it's kind of an issue, making sure you have the police. Sometimes there's crossings where you need to have the police, so it'll be safety related, you know. And it's just people informing us when they want to have an event, and so us being aware of it and being able to plan ahead. Because some of these events are pretty large. If there gets to be a lot of bikers or runners, you know, crossing the highway, it's helpful to have all that staged in advance.
And like you said, it hasn't been updated for quite a while, so now it just makes it current.
Yeah. And then we had one council person who suggested we should get rid of the Advertising and Promotion Commission. Most people aren't super aware of what the A&P Commission does, and understand you may have a show on that in the future, which I think would be helpful. When we signed up for the Advertising and Promotion Commission in 2017, of the 35 largest cities in Arkansas, we're the only one who didn't have one.
Really?
Yeah, and it does help a lot with promoting business and promoting tourism in particular, and so it was something that was very needed. And some people, well, this particular council person who suggested it, it's a 1 cent tax on restaurants, and it's a 2 cent tax on lodging.
We're talking cents and
Yeah.
not percentages.
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, well, it's on the dollar, 1
Yes,
cent on the
yes,
dollar.
yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't amount to a lot of money, but what happens is the cities collect that money. The A&P Commission does, which is actually separate from the city, and then they use it to promote the city, turn around it. So it's kind of in the best interest, actually, of the lodging and restaurant people. And you know, when there's a discussion of it the other day, there were some interesting statistics. Well, obviously, the lodging is almost all people from outside the city. And even the restaurants is something like 40 or 45% of people eating in restaurants are from outside the city. So it may be a tax, but it's not being paid by the local residents for the most part.
And it's minuscule. It's
Yeah.
so little.
Yeah, it's pretty well. If I take my wife out to dinner and it's $60, it's 60 cents. So I don't really notice it. I mean, it's kind of a luxury to go out for a really nice dinner in the first place. So usually people who are, you know, hand to mouth are not going to be running around at fancy restaurants, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's not a real big tax. I mean, we like to not have taxes too high, but this one seems like it does a lot of good. And the commission, I think, has done a great job at promoting Bella Vista.
Let's help people understand it's not part of the city, or is it?
No, not really. It's run separately. In fact, the state law dictates that there's a 7-member commission and 2 people are from the city. So we have a councilman and myself are on the commission. And then 4 people are from the restaurant or the lodging business. And 1 person is at large.
Gotcha.
So it's just a citizen that's interested in it.
And you know, it would help because Bentonville gets a lot of notoriety. They get recognized for all these trails coming on in this part of the world. And, you know, a lot of those trails are actually in Bella Vista.
Yeah.
So maybe I see one of their jobs is promoting and getting our name out there.
Yeah.
Because we're just as important
Yeah.
as our sister, brother, whatever they are, over there in Bentonville.
Yeah, that's right. You know, there's more or less friendly relations between the cities, but there is a element of competition also, of course. And this is people who are interested in being pro Bella Vista and talking about Bella Vista and promoting Bella Vista.
Yes.
That's their total function.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one's the financial audit, and I felt really good about this. It was the first year that we had a gap audit, and the problem with that, it's great. One of our financial lenders actually required it. That's what we did. It's a lot more work.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Especially for the finance department. But particularly the first year you do it. For example, one of the things you had to do in a gap audit is value all the streets. So as I mentioned, we have 550 miles of roads and 2,700 streets, so that was a huge challenge. So not only is our director of finance working hard, but she's harassing the various departments to give her information to help to complete it. So the audit was very positive. They had no problems with it, and that's very gratifying.
Just so
whenever
people
your
know
audit
what
comes
GAP
out
is,
well.
it's not GAP, it's
Yeah.
GAAP. It's Generally Accepted Accounting Principles.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
and most companies do use
Yes.
GAAP, but cities oftentimes use a regulatory basis, which is more like cash basis, and it's very simple, actually.
Yes.
So I was glad we did GAAP. It's interesting, GAAP, the accountants present things in different ways, cause you to look at it a little different ways. But all our numbers came out really good, and so I felt really good about it.
Kim works really hard.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay. So just a couple of other things here that will be talked about. We got about 5 minutes, so let's see what we can do to get it all in.
Well, someone brought something up about retiree medical benefits for fire and police. And this is if you retire early, before you're 65. And most cities don't do that.
Right.
In fact, almost none do in Arkansas. But we've been looking into it, and there was some good discussion the other day, and we may figure out a way to do something on that. But it's for people who you have to have worked for the city for quite some time.
Sure.
And of course, the fire and police people have some interest in that. One of the things I find interesting, our benefits are really good for fire and police, and really strong. And one of the things I find interesting and slightly frustrating from my point of view, if you hire a young guy who's 22 years old and you have a great pension plan, I always feel like you don't get as much credit as that cost or as you deserve. You know, it's just human nature. You're 22 years old, you're just starting out, and somebody says all this stuff you're going to get in 25 or 30 years. And
She's like,
that
really?
seems like a long time off, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, it is good. We have good benefits for those folks. They work hard. And, you know, I was at the Christmas party last year and for the fire, and I said, you know, I used to be a corporate attorney, and I do this deal or that deal, and oh, look, we saved the corporation, you know, several $100,000. But these guys go to work, and maybe they save somebody's life that day.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal when you think about it.
Yes.
And you never know which day that's going to be. You just show up for work, and, you know, once in a while you do something really spectacular. And
That's
it's
right.
just, it's, I think in some ways that, you know, they're like most people, a little bit they start to take it for granted because it's just, that's what the job is. But it's one thing's really changed in our society so much is, you know, when I was a kid, firemen were people who sat around and waited for a fire. That's what they did. And it's become such a medical thing now. You know, if you drive yourself to the hospital, if you're really sick, it's probably smarter to call the ambulance, because they might save your life before you get to the hospital.
True.
It's unbelievable the things they can do in the ambulance nowadays.
Yes.
With this paramedic type training, you know. People don't always think about that.
Yes.
And of course the police do all kinds of great stuff too. And
That's right. What else we got here?
oh, well, one of the folks wanted to talk about impact fees and fees in lieu, and we are thinking about impact fees right now. Well, we have our outside firm studying it to update them. And what impact fees are is they just impact new development, commercial development or residential. And you figure out how much the cost of fire or police is directly related to increased population. And then, so it's very mathematical type calculation. And then they figure out, you know, what people should pay. Right now, our impact fee on housing is, if you build a new house, it's $1,100, $1,100. So the builder pays that, and then of course the house probably costs $1,100 more than it would have.
Uh-huh.
And so what they're doing is doing a study to try and figure out what it should be going forward.
Okay, so it's an update maybe to what you've already got in place. Okay.
That's right. And all the cities have something like that. But it has to be reasonable, and it has to be, you know, correlated to reality. So that's why you have these outside folks help you figure out what it is and whatnot. So we're in the middle of working on that. And one of our big bugaboos has always been streets. Because, you know, we're so popular, people are building houses in more and more obscure locations. And sometimes the street really, you know, maybe it was built in 1965 and nobody's looked at it since. And it's kind of gone back to nature.
Yes, yes.
And now a person has a new house and says, well, I'd like my new house to have a pretty paved street in front of it, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge to handle that.
Okay.
We had a couple more things. We had Sirens. We have one council person interested in Sirens, so that came up again at the meeting. And we had an outside person come talk about it. person from Little Rock, and that's something that they're still considering.
But I understand that even, we've had those in the past, and it just didn't work for us, so we didn't do it. But even now with a new system, the way I heard or the way I understand is that would only be helpful for people that were outside.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Most people are on the inside.
Yeah, the great majority of people are inside. Yeah. That's right. So it's one of the aspects of it. And the last thing is certification regarding property taxes. Every year, City Council has to do that.
Yep.
And what our property taxes are, there's 4 mills that's optional. And then we have 1 mill for fire pensions and 1 mill for police pensions. And the people voted for those.
Yes.
So that's 6 mills. Now, last year, the state has a real complicated formula. If property values go up more than 10%, I think, they do a rollback. So they rolled it back to 5.73. So right now, our city property tax is 5.73 mills. And so at the meeting in September, we have to set it for the next year.
For the next year.
Yeah, and we were thinking of keeping it pretty much the same. I mean, they haven't voted yet, I'm getting out ahead of myself a little bit. Pretty much the same, especially since we have this other thing on the ballot. It doesn't seem like it would be prudent to raise the taxes. We generally keep it the same every year anyway.
I don't mean to cut you short, but we're out of time.
Yeah.
So let's just remind everybody to either tune in or come to the city council meeting. I think it's kind of cool to have people sitting in the audience on those council meetings so people know exactly what's going on. So next Monday at the Public Safety Building, be there and find out what's happening.
Yeah, it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Until next month. See ya.
Well, thank you so much.
You bet.
I enjoyed it.